So we're up the woods, everything is wet, so we're struggling a little bit with fire today. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to a quick surefire method. Take some silver birch, scrape your silver birch up, get a nice dust on your piece of silver birch bark. You're scraping the paper, you want to go down to the orange level. Once you've scraped a small pile up, enough for your needs, you don't need to go mad. This stuff is flammable. Take your ferro rod, light your silver birch. Then small shavings that you've already collected, use those to build your fire, and it goes out. So take a deep breath, come back to the beginning. It's the only bit of dry silver birch bark I've got. You can do it wet. It makes life a little bit more difficult. My wind's not helping, my knee's not helping. I can't quite get into the position that I'd like. My scrapings are going everywhere, but we won't worry about that. Right. Let's place that in there. Okie dokie. In fact, we'll place that way on so you can see what I'm doing. And everything flops about all over the place. It's a bit of a pain, but hey, there we go. Right, let's get that lit. Let's get a couple more bits lit. Once your silver birches are light, you're pretty much laughing. Now, here's some damp silver birch that I had, so let's place that on. And although that's damp, that will burn. It'll dry out and the oils in it will catch. A bit of heat under that. And that's the technique, is get a little bit of heat under it. Okay. Take my shavings, place my shavings on and transfer it to the main fire. So we come in, we've got our shavings, place the shavings on, build your fire gently. These are your few dry materials. Don't go mad. Take your time, breathe deep. You've got everything prepared beforehand. You shouldn't have an issue. Unless you do that, where I put too much on and I smothered it. Because I smothered it, I know a little bit of oxygen is going to revive it. Okay, so don't panic if you smother your fire. Your first thought is, if you smother it, I need air. Get oxygen onto it. Okay. So, looking at this fire, fire likes to burn uphill. Let's place that piece of timber there. Let's create an uphill slope. Oh, spreading it out, which I didn't want to do. I'm going to build a centre to this fire, but again, we won't panic. Don't panic, Mr. Bannock. Look round your fire, put your materials back gently. Don't smother it, stop building it. hear the woods popping and cracking. It's a good sign. That's what we want. As you build your fire, think about the stability of it and how you want the heat to rise through it. Okay, plenty of oxygen in there, plenty of tinder material. I'm gaining a hearth or gaining a bed to it. Wind's coming from this direction, so it's feeding the oxygen, it's blowing it up the wood. So we'll leave that to run. This bit of silver birch that I've collected, I'll place back here. I want it to dry out. If it catches fire, it catches fire. But if I remember, I'll dry it out in time. So you see, the wood is wet, slows fire to the fire is slow to catch. But I leave it in peace. Eventually, this will take and it will get away. I could feed small light pieces of wood in there and encourage it. There's not a lot of point. As long as I'm getting oxygen, there's heat and there's fuel, it'll do its own thing. So, benefits of this type of fire. The benefits of this type of fire are quite simple. You've got large pieces of timber in comparison to what you'd normally use for tinder. You split the wood so you know the inner core's dry. You build a good hearth with the large spacing, plenty of oxygen. These timbers will burn very, very quickly. What they will do is give me a good bed of embers and coals, which I can use then to ignite other timbers, hence the larger damp logs around the outside, or I can use as a cooking source. Okay, so not always do you go to very fine stuff, build your fire up from small. You can in fact go from just, well, I started off with 4 logs that were reasonably okay, slightly damp on the outside, split them, produce shavings, because I'm pretty rubbish at making feather sticks, and a little bit of silver birch, and away we go. We've got a fire here. Build this fire up, start placing the damp stuff around it to dry, even on it, and yeah, you keep this going all night without a problem at all. It's already throwing off a lot of heat, and as you see, well, there's a lot of oxygen getting in there. There's minimum smoke. It's producing enough heat to burn off the materials and residues that you'd normally find in the smoke. So anyhow, I shall leave you watching that and prep up some other bits. Right guys, whilst we're up the woods, we got the fire going. So let's go through something simple that really should be something we all know, and that is a basic simple Bannock bread. I'm not going to go deep into the recipe because you can go online and find hundreds of them, try them out at home, see which one works for you. But this is one I've come up with over the years and I find it works for me. So 2.5 cups of flour. So I drop out half the cup of flour. There's half a cup of flaxseed in there. Gives it a nice little bite to it. There's a tablespoon of self-raising flour, tablespoon of bicarbonate soda as a rising agent, and then on top of that, to make that into a dough, I'm going to add water. There's also a teaspoon of sugar in there and half a teaspoon of salt. Okay, So it's a nice simple mix. First thing you're going to want to know, and you ought to teach yourself on your kit, is I need a cup of water for this mix. Right, so a tin mug. You won't see me using them often, but I do use them on occasion. So a tin mug, and I know this tin mug, when I get to there, is a cup of water. How do I know that? Because I measured it out before. Take my plastic bag. I'm going to do this in the plastic bag because it saves me making a mess. Add half the amount of water, okay, and mix. Try not to spill it everywhere. And what you're looking at doing is producing a dough. Now it'll feel at first that you've added too much water to it. Keep going, keep it in the bag, stops it getting on your fingers. You have to excuse us doing this in the back of the car, it is hammering down today. Keep working it. You'll feel the dough stiffen up and stiffen up and stiffen up. I have put a crumbly dough in there, so a little bit more water. Keep working it. Possibly a slightly over wet dough for what I like, but hey, there we go. Yeah, slightly over wet. It's not a problem, we can work to that. Now that's why you have it, you do it in the bag preferably. What you want to do is form a nice firm dough where everything's bound together and nothing's sticking to your hands. However, like a good lad, I keep an old t-shirt in the back of the motor for emergencies. Wipe the old putties off. Could have oiled my hands beforehand, but that is a very basic Bannock mix. And yes, that's a bit damp, that one. We won't worry about it though, it will still cook okay. What I'll do, because it's slightly moist, I'll adapt my recipe. I'll do my recipe in the tin. I'm also going to do one in foil. So I'm actually going to make for you today 2 Bannocks. But for the moment, bear in mind there's no yeast, so you don't really have to let this rise. However, I'm just going to put it in the foil and let it sit. And then letting it sit gives me a chance to look around at what else I've got. It also allows that flour and your dry mixtures to make sure they've absorbed all the moisture all the way through. You leave that 10 minutes and you'll find it will firm up. Okay, so in my recipes, or in this recipe for doing this, a little bit of olive oil. So it's going to be a little bit of olive oil in my pan, and I'm going to do that one over the gasifier stove. Okay, and then I'm going to do one in foil, and that one we'll do over the fire. Okie dokie. So let's take my foil. A little bit of oil, doesn't matter whether it's butter, vegetable oil, olive oil. I'm using an olive oil. Make sure it coats the foil where you're going to place your bread mix, because obviously you don't want it sticking to the foil. Nobody wants to eat foil with their bread mix. Back to my bag. Yeah, that's firming up nicely. So let's take a good lump of that out. Take the dough, roll it into a ball, place it in the centre and open it out. Now, ideally for this, I like about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch thick. Why? Because I find that cooks best for me. Let's go back to my t-shirt, wipe my hands off. Again, when you're cooking out here in the field as well, remember, hygiene is everything, okay? Especially when working with things like this, because any contaminants you've got into that are going to get nicely warmed up. Anyhow, and my foil. That half goes under, that half goes over, so you've pretty much got an even layer on it all. If you want to, you can pat it down, there's no real requirement to. And that is going to cook on the embers on the fire. The other bag's in the pan, and we're going to have that running in the we're using the gasifier. So now it's stopped raining for a second. What I'm going to do, I'm going to set up the gasifier. I'll film me setting up the gasifier, burning on wood pellet again for those of you that are interested, so that if you want to come back to trying the technique yourself, you can do. We'll get that running and we'll get some Bannock on. This is Mickey, see you in a minute. So, gasifier stove, base, little fire pot, top, tray, inside, wood pellet, because I like wood pellet, it's quick, easy and efficient. A dragon gel, place it in your wood pellet, striker, match, whatever you want. Light up your dragon gel, place your top on, and that is your gasifier stove roaring away quite happily. Now you can make a brew on your gasifier stove. Wonderful. So here we go. Rush through that quick because I was making a short on the other side. Anyhow, let's get this sorted. We've got water on the fire, so we're making a brew there. We'll let this get itself going, and then we will start making Bannock. So, I've taken my Bannock, I've oiled my pan, I've oiled the top of my Bannock. It's as simple as that. And then leave it. Don't touch it, don't interfere with it. Just let it cook slowly. Okay. And about halfway through, you're going to flip it over, do the other side, brown it off. If it's cooking too fast, lift it away from the heat for a little while, let it cool slightly, then take it back to the heat. Don't let it cool down completely. And that will cook your Bannock. Okay, we can do this way, we can do it over the open fire. There's many different methods we can use. I could put a griddle over the fire and use that. The method I'm going to be using on there today will be using a griddle and tin foil. In actual fact, it's looking like the fire's starting to get to where I want it, so I'm going to leave this one in peace. We'll come back to it in a bit, and we'll get on to having a look at the griddle on the fire and setting up on there. So as you can see, I've slightly adapted the fire. Very damp, very slow burning, but I've got a lot of heat coming off of this. Place a log here, place a log here. Heat's coming up under the griddle. Okay, it's going to give me a slightly slower cook, but a controlled heat as it goes. The air's feeding in this way into the fire, so it is getting oxygen, taking the smoke away from me. And all we're going to do is cook our Bannock. So we take our Bannock wrapped in foil and literally place it over the heat. Okay, and the heat is rising from the front of this fire here and blowing out that way. What I can also do then is stick my brew pot on, because I'm going to want a cup of coffee, because when we're out in the woods, it's the first rule, get the brew on. Got to have the brew. If this starts to burn or starts to cook too fast, all we do, move it away from the heat, move it back as we need to. And again, this is a trial and error thing, so it takes practice and time. I haven't done it in a while, probably make a complete mess of this one. We'll see how it goes, okay? Hi guys, this is Mickey. I think it's done. Sounds hollow. That's your clue it's done. So here's a treat for you. This is my put in a pot, okay? At the moment, I've made a bread. Now, it's just a plain bread. It's not particularly brilliant, but it's a good survival food. Got a bit of flax in there, yeah, a bit like a digestive. So now, the piece de resistance for me is whilst it's hot and it's in the pan, I'm just going to drizzle on a little bit of honey, okay? I'll put that little bit of honey on there. It softens up with the warmth. It gets soaked into the bread. You can hear it start to sizzle on the edges where it will caramelize, I believe is the chefy word. It's lovely. It makes a really nice, sweet, energy efficient, full of carbs. It's what you need for a survival food. It's simple, it's easy to make. It's been a historical survival food. This is what our ancestors made, and this is what a lot of travelling communities throughout the world, called by different names, will make it. It's been made in Scotland, it's been made in Canada, it was made by the settlers. Oh, let's put a bit of honey the other side as well. Look at that, it starts to caramelize onto there. Do you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of lardy cake, okay? I don't know if any of you in America and that know about lardy cake, but it's a very, very pleasant treat made in the UK. It's a bread full of sugar, full of lard, hence lardy cake, and when it's cooked, caramelizes the sugar on the bottom. Absolute to die for. That's if you like sweet things. So I'm just going to give that a few more minutes on there, see how that's going. I'm going to go over, check the one on the fire, then I'm going to come back, take that off, make a brew, and you will see me eat it. So let's take our bannock off. Okay, I think that's had enough time. That's nicely cooked. You can see how it's caramelized. So let's get a brew on. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but this wood pellet, as I said before, fuel efficient. Look how it's lasted. Absolutely brilliant. Okay, so it does the job. I like the wood pellet with the gas safari. If you're looking for a prepping survival stove, that's the way I'd go. You can use twigs when you need to. However, little bag of pellet, cotton wool balls, firelighter, or whatever you want to use to start it off, and away you go. You've got a source of heat, you've got a source to cook by, you've got a source of light. Hey, it's all good. So let's go on to the other thing I wanted to talk about. And you've seen my shorts, you've seen a lot on these. So let's turn that around a little bit. So I went out, I was looking for a new knife. I was originally going to buy an open L, and I wanted a knife for cooking with. Okay, wanted something simple, efficient, I could stick in the bag. As soon as I look at it, I could identify it and go, that's my colouring knife. I could say to people, leave that bugger alone, that's the one I use for food. Had to be sharp, easy to clean. So I wanted stainless steel, really. So I'm looking around, and the company I keep mentioning, Springfield's UK, or Springfield Knives UK, had these on. I've already got it dirty. The Mora, the 511 and the 546, both on a deal. Okay, so basically by buying the two, including postage and packaging, under 20 quid, but I got myself a stainless steel knife for my food prep. Absolutely brilliant, easy to keep clean, easily identifiable, and then I've got it in carbon as well, and that carbon one will go into a completely separate kit, so I don't carry these two together at the same time and get them confused. Okay, that one will probably go in the car kit, and that carbon one there is more of a rescue knife. So therefore, if I'm having to help somebody, a police officer seeing me with a bright yellow knife being pulled out deep out of a bag and that, it's a rescue knife. Okay, that's why it's the funny bright colour. That's what I use it for, officer, and when I finish with it, it will go back in the bottom of the bag as per the law. Okay, justified reason for use. So we'll get this brew on, we'll let this cool down a little bit, and then we will get stuck into it. I'm not sure if the camera caught it earlier on, but Oh, let's get the Leatherman and show you. I'm looking forward to this. Okay. Oh, look at that. Look at the honey's caramelised on that. There. Looking forward to getting inside that. Or getting that inside me even. And it keeps raining. So, yeah, oh, just get down on that knee. I do apologise, guys. That knee is still giving me grief, hence we haven't moved on with the videos this week. I'm out of the brace, however, I'm still treating it a bit gently and I'm on a lot of painkillers. So, a stainless steel knife for food prep. Cut through my bannock. It's done. A little bit moist in the centre. Done. Right. The honey did caramelise. And it's cooled, it's gone quite crispy on the outside. It's quite nice. However, maybe a little bit too much heat. So a bit less time on the honey, but very pleasant. If a little dry. So what we have here, simple bannock, cooked in the woods, in a pot. You see, that's done nicely. Okay, and that's my put in the wood, or my put in a pot. As survival food, I've got another one on the grill over there which I'm cooking in foil. I want to see how they two compare, and that would just be plain. Just want to see if direct heat is better than non-direct. And something like this can be made and cooked very simply in almost any condition. You can do it plain and dry. Another one I want to look into, again because it was a survival food from a minimalist supplies to feed people, is fry bread. So I'm going to see if I can reach out, contact somebody from one of the nations, have a chat to them, get their advice, find out the ways, wherefores and what fors for it, give it a go myself here in the UK. Not that I'm trying to appropriate somebody else's technique, far from it. What I'm attempting to do is learn, and learn from other people, have an understanding the way the world moves on. Actually, very nice, quite enjoying this. I think if you put sultanas in it, even a bit of chopped fruit, blueberries, even nuts, going to add a lot more to the flavour. Bit of cinnamon possibly, but yeah, happy with that. That's Mickey's honey bannock. So I'm not going to eat it all. I'm going to take it home for the lovely Kaz to try out, see what she thinks. I mean, she's a very, very good baker, so she'll probably try that and actually say to me, you know, you should have done this, done that, give me some tips. And gasified stove, it's decided it doesn't want to go out. So what we will do with that, we'll move that somewhere safe. Down on the metal. Turn itself. Right. Let's see how we've done here. I might not have given this enough time yet. If I haven't, I can return it to the heat. So Well, it sounds hollow. That's very firm, very crispy. This, oh, I'm happy. Ooh. Right, so you want something moist, cook it wrapped in the foil. All right. Crumb on that. Okay. No soggy bits in it. Okay, there's no honey, so it's not as sweet. That's edible. Filling, warm, lots of carbs. Yeah, you can't go wrong with that. Simple bannock bread. So again, bannock bread, simple recipe for bannock bread. You are looking, and I'm going to take that home for Kaz to try. I'm going to sit here and eat it all. And Jace, the chef, is popping around tonight. I want him to try that as well. So a simple bannock bread recipe is, let's see, 2 to 2.5 cups of normal flour. Okay, you're looking at 1 teaspoon bicarb soda, raising agent. Okay, and it just helps it to puff a little bit. You're looking at 1 teaspoon of sugar. You're looking at half a teaspoon of salt, and you're looking at 1 cup of water. Okay, as you saw me do, mix it slowly. Don't make it too wet, but you want it to bind together as a dough. Apply it to heat, cook it. Now, so that's a basic bread mix, a very basic bread mix. To that you can add anything you want. Sweetening, you could add more sugar, you could add cinnamon, you could add honey, you could add treacle. Okay, I've put it on at the end because I think that makes a nice caramelisation on it. You could do it in the mix. Don't know how that'll come out, might make the mix too deep, a little bit less, or a little too moist, a little bit less water. See how that goes. Sultanas, nuts, like I say, fruit, berries, whatever you wanted to it. Okay, if you were really clever, I expect you could layer it and get the fruit right in the middle of it, so that the fruit would cook, things like apple, and you'd end up like an apple cake, and the juices from the apple would actually flavour the entire bread. But yeah, can't go wrong with that. So that's mixed put in the wood, or put in the pot. Challenge everybody else out there, have a go, show me what you can do, let me learn from your recipes, and be open and honest like I have. I burnt that honey a little bit, made it a little bit bitter. It's not too bad, but I'd have just put it on for less time if I was doing it again. And let's have a bit of fun with it. Yeah. I do apologise that it wasn't much of a video this week. As I was saying, I am struggling a little bit with this knee. It is healing, it is getting better, but I don't want to risk damaging it yet. I've got some plans coming up where I'm going to need to be reasonably fit and able. So anyhow, that's it. So I know I keep harping on about it, but it's the end of this video, so I would like to say a big thank you to Springfield UK, www.springfield.co.uk. Pop along, have a look at them for your bushcraft and survival needs. They do pretty much everything, cast ironware through to tentage, through to knives. Yeah, and I've had no issues getting kit through them. In fact, they've been very supportive, very, very helpful. Hence I said to them, as a thank you for how they treated me when I was asking or having inquiries, I said I'd mention them on my video. So I am. Here we go. Anyhow, the two knives. Okay, so they are both Moras. It's 511 and the 546, and I keep harping on about them. One in stainless, one in carbon. Mate, you can't beat them for the price. Okay, and okay, you're not going to bat them with these. Okay, Can make feather sticks. You can do all your camp tasks with these. If you want to go battening, you need a knife for battening. You need a blade that's got thickness. Mora do make a knife that is very good for battening, okay? Or you go to an axe, or you go to a cleave, you go to the equipment you need for that. But if you're just starting out and you want a simple camp knife, have a look at the Mora range, okay? Go for the Companion or something like that. They're cheap, they're efficient, they're affordable, they're absolutely brilliant knives. I went for these for two specific reasons. I wanted a cheap stainless steel knife for doing cooking, food preparation and eating, okay? And I also, when I looked at it, I thought, well, hang on, I'll get the deal then, because that gives me a carbon one as well, so that'll go in another kit. And again, the thing I like about this, and I know people are going to say it's not tactical, bright yellow. Not going to lose it in the undergrowth. It goes in the bottom of my kit. It can double up as a rescue knife. It's bright yellow. You're not going to have an issue with trying to hide it, conceal it, or lose it. It's there where you can find it. And that, my friends, is that. This is Mickey, Hampshire Outdoors and Survival. I hope all is good with you. I hope you've had a great day. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I do apologise. We are going to get back to the disaster videos once my knee sorts itself out. And I also am trying to organise with somebody to actually go to another location for a different environment. So it will come. Don't know whether it'll be next week, week after, or whatever, but it will come. Keep watching to follow on. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. That is my pudding in a pot challenge to you guys. Okay, I'm no chef at all, but at the end of the day, get out there, show me what you can do. I'm looking forward to seeing some of them. Enjoy, guys. Love those you do, forgive those you don't, and as ever, peace and light be upon you all. Please like, subscribe, share, comment, do that funky stuff. Also, please join me Sunday night, 1900 hours, Hampshire Outdoors and Survival, for the live stream. Come and join the community. Brilliant bunch of guys. We're getting loads of people up there. They throw out questions, jokes, they chat amongst themselves, they listen to this old fart waffle. So hey, it's all got to be good. So anything you want to bring up, anything you want to deal with, yeah, do so. The only thing we don't do, guys, we don't do politics. No politics. We don't do religion. No, we're not doing religion. Sex. No, we're not doing sex. We're just having fun. Anybody that's interested in bushcraft, prepping or survival, come and join us. It's all a little bit of a giggle. Guys, this is Mickey, Hampshire Outdoors Survival. Take care. Love you all. Mickey, out.